We can install in the Raspberry Pi, and how we can configure the Raspberry Pi, and we have programming a Raspberry Pi with the Python. The reason why they're given a Python is, in a Raspberry Pi we have inbuilt idle where we can work with the Python. 3 also we have to, both the idles are available in Raspberry Pi. So that's why we are choosing Python as a programming language. And then we have a program, we are going to write a program for wireless temperature monitoring using Pi. So we have to, for this wireless temperature monitoring using Pi means we are using some wireless way of connecting to the Raspberry Pi so that we can read the temperature sensor data. So here we are using a temperature sensor, DS18B20 temperature sensor. Actually this temperature sensor, if you take, we have only 3 pin in this temperature sensor. One is for data collection, one ground, and one is power. So it takes the data from the only one pin. So actually it uses one wire protocol. One wire protocol for the purpose of connecting to the it is using one wire protocol to extract the data. One wire protocol means you will be having only one data line, will not have more than that. Actually, if you take I square C and all, you will be having more number of pins for connecting. So if a USB, if you take also 2 pins will be there for USB, plus and minus. And if you take SPI protocol also, in that also you will be having more than 1 pin per data collection. And then if you take firewire protocol, you will be having A plus, A minus. Twisted pair A plus and A minus. Two pins will be having for data collection, but here you will have only one pin. Through that one pin only we are just collecting. We don't have any signals and all, just one wire protocol means only one data line we have. By using that we are just collecting the data. And we have next we have for connecting to the Raspberry Pi, we are having a we are connecting with the secure socket layer, so through which we are collecting the data. And then for that we are connecting our Raspberry Pi to the remote system by using SSH. So you have to enable the SSH in the Raspberry Pi, and then we have to collect the data from the remote Raspberry Pi to the host system. And then we are going to discuss about how we are going to connect to the like how the cities are connected with the Raspberry Pi, and then like how we are going to create a smart city with the help of Internet of Things. And then we are going to work with smart city IoT architecture, how the smart city is designed. So these are all the important topic which comes under your fifth module. In fifth module earlier we had Arduino Uno. So Arduino Uno programming was discussed by HOD sir. So he has discussed how to program Arduino Uno and all. What is that IDE? We have Arduino Uno IDE, and how it is programmed, all these things he discussed already. So once again, once if I complete with your with Raspberry Pi and this concept, Arduino, some more programs we'll see, some more programs based on Arduinos. And then next we have before my PPT, I just projecting my PPT. I just tell you more about what is Raspberry Pi. Actually, if you take Raspberry Pi, it's a series of small single board computers. Earlier and what were the issues? So if you take complete system, if you want to take any laptops or anything, you need it's more cost. Now they want to just promote the basic teaching in the schools, computer science teaching in the schools in developing countries. Earlier, in developing countries and all, they want to introduce the basics of computer science in the schools. So for introducing that, if they take a proper way of using a systems and all, it is a more cost for everybody. They cannot afford. So they wanted some less with the less cost. They wanted to bring some some way where they can give a basic computer science education to the schools in rural areas in a developing countries, and that's why they came up with a plan in the UK, along with your UK with the Raspberry Pi Foundation. They came with this idea. So they just started building a board. Now people know that the cost of Raspberry Pi, complete Raspberry Pi, may come around some 2,400 something. You can purchase that. So with that, you can build a simple computing, like you can build a computing environment. So you can build a complete environment of computer working. So you can design a complete system with this. So by connecting the external peripherals, you can design a complete system. And then what else we can do with this is it's like IoT based products also we can easily develop there. The reason here is why these boards are chosen for IoT based product is, see here, mainly if you take any board you take, it is not only Raspberry Pi board, any board you take. So what is the main thing we have to achieve here is, see here, your IoT products may be like it will be deployed in some industries where it will be working environment will be like a huge temperature will be there, or sometimes you have to deploy this in a inside some of the devices where we cannot completely embed your laptop or something inside the particular environment. So in that scenarios, what we can do is we have to go for like where the complete computing systems can be made as a small system, so that we can embed that small system in the particular machines, or in remote areas, or somewhere in the like high temperature environments, or you can embed this in some automobile, this thing, and all we can do. That's for building that kind of a computing environment, we can't go with the desktop PCs and all. So for that reason only we were going for this kind of a boards. So this kind of a boards, if you take, no, it is like it's very one second, Praveen, I think you got the PPT. I think you can project now. Yeah, okay. Now go to the next slide, third or fourth slide, Praveen. Yes. So yeah, you can, and then see here, if you take that kind of working environment, we cannot have a complete systems. So in that complete systems, we cannot project like complete system, we cannot have it in high temperature environment. Even we cannot embed this complete system inside the some devices. So that's why we are going for a small board where your complete computing environment can be there. But if you take Arduino board, no, in Arduino board OS is not available. One particular program will be running in the infinite loop, but OS is not available. So Arduino based code and all, we can go for only one task repeatedly happening. That kind of application we can use Arduino board. So in Arduino board, as you people have attended a previous session, you know that in Arduino board you will be having a loop where infinitely that loop will be running, and then only one code you can run. So only one like it is a way of this way of a programming, we are calling it as a super loop based programming. So super loop based programming means one particular program will be running one by one. If I have some 10 functions, all the 10 functions one by one it will run. Finally, it will what it will do is, last function is over, again it will start executing from the first function. So if you take this type of programming, will be for a simple kind of embedded application or IoT application we can use, where much of tasks are not there. So, but if you take any real-time IoT based applications where we need operating systems, where we need to interact with the cloud, where we need a web browser, all these things, if you want to incorporate, then you have to use a board where you can completely install your OS. So such a board is your Raspberry Pi. So other than Raspberry Pi, you have so many other boards also. Intel Galileo board, but the cost of Intel Galileo board is more. And there are some boards which comes under lakhs together, so with more features. But here we are using this particular board is, it's very easy for us to purchase, like we can easily, affordably, we can purchase this board. And one more thing is, and then here it supports even programming language, it supports OS also. That's why it is the best choice to use Raspberry Pi. So and if you take a Raspberry Pi, but it is not a open source, entirely open source, but Arduino board is open source hardware. So if people are aware that what is meant by open source in the sense how open source software, your Linux operating system, Android operating system, all are open source. What is the benefit of having open source is, so what we can do is we can give contribute something to the community by making use of that open source. If you want, you improve something with the code, then you can re-contribute to the same community. So like this only, that open source hardware is also available, where we can contribute our circuit design, new circuit design. I take Arduino and circuit design, I design myself a new board with some more functionality. So that new design I can contribute to, again I can contribute to the environment. So if you take a Raspberry Pi is completely not a open source. And these are all the features of your Raspberry Pi. So you have something 700 megahertz to 1 gigahertz speed, and it has onboard memory of 256 KB to 1 GB RAM. You have you are using SD cards. You have small SD card slots in your Raspberry Pi board. That SD card slot, you can we are using the class 16 SD card for this. So if you have to, whenever you want something Raspberry Pi, you want to boot something, you can put your OS in SD card, and then you can put your SD card back to the SD card slot. So when the OS is there are some different OSs it supports in your Raspberry Pi. Basically, if you take Raspbian OS, we'll be using Raspbian OS is based on Linux based OS. We have to download the Raspbian, and then we have to copy that through the SD card to our through the SD card driver from the system. We have to copy that into SD card. Later we have to take that SD card, and then you have to put it in the SD card slot. So this is used for, SD cards are used for storing the operating system. And it has 4 USB ports. What is the purpose of USB port here is, now when you want to for example, you want to program your Raspberry Pi by using Python IDE is available. If you want to program your Raspberry Pi, you need a keyboard, and then you need a monitor, and then if you want, you can connect mouse. For that, your USB ports are available. You can use these USB ports for connecting your peripherals, because your the Raspberry Pi will come with its own LCD display also. You can use that LCD display, or else you can connect your monitor. So monitors are connected not by using USB ports. The monitors are connected through the VGA port. In your Raspberry Pi, you have HDMI slot. So through that HDMI to VGA converter, you can connect your monitor, and your keyboard, mouse, you can connect by using USB ports. And it supports video, and it has some of the GPIO pins. It has input output pins, general purpose input output pin. 40 pins are there, GPIO pins. Some of the pins are used for ground and power supply, and some of the pins are used for input output. So input output means you can program either it as input or output, both the way you can program. By using the set mode, we can program it either using input or output. So here it supports some common protocols. So you can use some of the protocol which you are using, like I2C, then SPI, all these protocols, UART, it supports UART. So by using those protocols, any way of communications we can do. So for example, if you take your GPIO, you can read only 1 bit at a time. but you want to get the data by one complete byte and all if you want to get. So if you want to make the communication faster, so whenever you do the GPIO directly bitwise programming, no, I can take access only one bit at a time. But you want to program in terms of transferring more byte of a data, then you can use your communication protocols for communicating between your sensors to Raspberry Pi, or some of the input output device to Raspberry Pi. You can either go with the GPIO, or by using these protocols also you can communicate. So it supports most of the protocols. And then next slide. So the Raspberry Pi evaluation. So it is how the Raspberry Pi first version started when, and first model was developed by in 2012. The earlier model are Model A, this is Model B, and then Model B Plus was developed in 2014. And Pi 2 was like more features were keep on adding. Usually from Pi 3 onwards, the USB has started. So, and more features like Ethernet card were introduced. By using Ethernet card, you can connect to the internet also. Wired network we can connect. And then by using Wi-Fi, you can connect to the like Wi-Fi network which is available near your like your Raspberry Pi. You can connect through the Wi-Fi. So as slowly they just evaluated to add more functionality, more number of USB, and speed they have increased, and then power they have increased. And you can use a USB for booting purpose also. And even you can use boot your Raspberry Pi using network also. So in next slide, we are just showing the functional block diagram of Raspberry Pi. So in a functional block diagram of Raspberry Pi, you have CPU, and then RAM, first RAM, memory, IO, then USB hub, you have Ethernet. So this is just a functional block diagram of what are the connected functional units are available in the Raspberry Pi. In, um, then still there are some features of Raspberry Pis are discussed. And Broadcom is Broadcom's BCM2835 SoC is used in the first generation Raspberry Pi. And then it had cache memory, everything, like how the system used to have all the features like cache memory, flash, all the memory types are available in the Raspberry Pi. And next slide, it discusses about what are the cache memory size. Level 1 cache 16 KB, level 2 cache 128 KB, and then all this hardware specifications are available. And then next slide is discussed about your what are the Wi-Fi standard was used, 802.11 standard, what is the megabits per second. So all this hardware detail and features are discussed here. And then next, okay, you can attach your peripherals, USB, through the USB controller, keyboard, mouse, we can attach. And then next slide, even we can use a video controller which generates the like a video controller we can use to connect to the TV, to smart TV. If you want to convert your TV to smart TV, you can in 2013 by using a Raspberry Pi board, one project your seniors have done. So normal TV they are converted into smart TV. The smart TV means you can store your programs whichever you want, later you can watch it. So when you are in a smart TV, because it is connected to the Raspberry Pi, you can have like internet facility with the normal TV, so that we can connect with an internet. And then even you can store the programs in the any of the program you want to watch, you can store it in the Raspberry Pi. This way the project was taken. So smart TV, normal TV through the Raspberry Pi, they have made it as a smart TV. It's a very simple project, but in 2013 and all, it was like when the Raspberry Pi board concepts have come, no, that time it was very like it was some innovative idea which was implemented by our students. And then next we have next slide. Raspberry Pi. We have a diagram of Raspberry Pi. board diagram. Just you can see this board diagram. So here Raspberry Pi, that logo is available, and these are your USB port. Your USB ports are available here. Right side of your board, USB port is available, and then you have it's like you have a here you have HDMI in middle of the board. You have something HDMI, and then Broadcom ARM processor. It is in middle. You have a processor, Broadcom ARM processor, and then on the top you have GPIO slots. GPIO slots on the top. You have a GPIO slots on the top. So these are all the onboard components, and you have JTAG facilities for debugging facilities. You have JTAG facilities. There are so many other chips are available, and then for a SD card slot, left side you have SD card slot, left side of the board, left side middle you have SD card slot, and then down here you have for connecting to the power cable. For connecting to the power cable, you have here this side down, left side down, one small white color, that is for connecting to the power cable. And even you have all this some more components also available. So in detail you can see later. And next slide talk about what are the OSs you can put in your like you can run in your Raspberry Pi. So first one, usually we go for ARM based Linux operating system, that is Raspbian OS. ARM based Linux operating system, that is Raspbian OS. And OS Pi, FreeBSD, Chrome OS. Even you can put your complete Android also. Android of things. If you want to put Internet of Things, no, same way if you want to design Android of things, your mobile operating system also you can place it in the Raspberry Pi. So you can run your complete Android OS in your Raspberry Pi for development purpose. You can do that. And then next, so how to install your Raspbian OS? So you have to use SD card reader to install your OS in SD card. So there are official images are available. OS images are available. Just you have to download the OS images, and then we have to write that in the SD card. Even when you have something called as Noops, set of all the OS operating systems are available. Noops, NOOBS Noops. So by using Noops, what we can do is we can have more than one operating system, dual boot and all we can do. So first, if you want, you can try with the Raspbian OS, and most of them are doing already projects. Many knows about how to boot the Raspberry Pi by using Raspbian OS. And once that OS is ready, you can copy that OS onto SD card, and then you can boot your Raspbian OS. So once you boot, you connect your monitor, you will be getting the Raspbian OS screen. Like it will look like Linux OS. However, what are the software, word processing software will be available, and you will be having Python. Even you can program with Java also, but actually Java we are not installing in Raspbian. You have a Java programming micro edition, Java ME you have. Like how you have Java SE standard edition, Java EE enterprises edition. Same way you something you have called as Java micro edition. So you will be writing some midlet. You are like applet, servlet. You will call it as midlet. You will be writing some midlet. So in that midlet, you will be writing the code. Like you will write a Java program for complete working of your sensors, LEDs and all. But Python is very easy. That's why we are choosing Python. But when you compare to Java, is very programming in Java for Raspberry Pi, it is little difficult. So what we should do is there are so many steps you have to follow. So you have to write the program, then that you have to copy that programs to we have to copy that program to our Raspberry Pi, and your Raspberry Pi and the program system which you are programming, both the systems should be connected to the same Wi-Fi. It should be connected to the same Wi-Fi so that we can transmit the data from system to your Raspberry Pi. And like, but Java as such, some advantages you have in Java, so we can make use of even Java programming also for working with the Raspberry Pi. And so once you copy and when you boot, no, you'll be getting all the like complete working of the system. And here, if you take mainly we are focusing on GPIO programming, because in the syllabus what temperature sensor they are given, no, it concentrates on GPIO programming only. So here there are, if you take a board configuration, your board configuration, if you take, no, you have two type of a board configuration. One is BCM board configuration, other one is board just normal pin configuration. So one is board, another one is BCM. BCM means Broadcom SoC. So here, if you take a pin configuration, next slide, it's available. Pin configuration is available in next slide. So here, if you take, you have totally 40 pins. So the pins, like of pins are named from the top. You just see the how the board is. You have to keep the board in such a way that the first top pin is 1, 2. It starts from top 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. Your you can see in the PPT. Your top is the first pin, and then next second pin, third pin like this. So if you are using this pin numbers for programming, that is a board mode. If you are using the pin number for the programming, it is board mode. But if you are using one more naming, alternate naming convention is given here. So first pin is 3.3 volt, and then GPIO2, GPIO3, GPIO4, like this naming is given here. You can see in the PPT. Here you can see in the PPT. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like this. Here this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 40 is actually your board pin numbering. So the same pin numbering, if you are using same pin numbering also you can use. If you are using same pin numbering, then it is a board mode. But if you are using the pin numbering which is available here, GPIO, GPIO3, that way if you start programming, then that is the that is actually, if you take this is actually your alternate way, Broadcom mode. It's a BCM mode. So either you can set BCM mode or you can set your board mode. Whichever mode you are comfortable, you can set it. Most of the time, we will be looking with the board mode only, directly the pin numbers. If I want to use GPIO2, I will write the pin number as 3. In a BCM mode, I will mention that pin number 3 as GPIO2, whereas in board mode I will be specifying it as 3. So either both of the mode you can program, but which are the mode you want to program, first you have to specify whether you are going with the BCM mode or pin mode. So in a pin mode, the pin numbers are 1, 2, 3 up to 40, and in GPI mode the pin names are given in the colored. So in this colored, they have given the pin names, which are the pin names. Totally you have up to GPIO 26. You have 26 GPIO slot. In a 40, there are some totally 8 grounds we have, and then you have 5 volt power supply. Then you have 3.3 volt power supply. So it depends on, for example, if your particular LED, some LEDs need 3.3 volts, but some LEDs need 5 volt. So depending on your device, if it is 5 volt or if it is required 3.3 volt, accordingly you have to connect your power mode. So it depends on what type of power supply is required for your sensors or device. When you buy a sensors, in manufacturing sheet they would have told about what is the power supply required for that particular sensor. Based on that power supply, we can use a particular slot. And if you take some of the devices which is more, some of the devices if you take, that takes more power more than 5 volt, 12 volts and all. Now, for example, I want to write it. I'm going to design one uh, robot by using Raspberry Pi. In a robot design, most of the time you'll be using all the a stepper motor, some motors and all, DC motor and all you'll be using. For stepper motor and all, we need 12 volts power. 5 volts is not sufficient. So in that time, external driver you can connect to the 5 volt power supply. That 5 volt power supply, your external driver will convert into 12 volts. So you this is a basically 3.3 and 5 volt is available, but some of the device which you connect for your projects are taking uh, more power. Then what we can do is you can go for using external drivers. So now next in the next slides we just show the program flow of GPIO program flow. So in that, what we should do is we should install RPI Raspberry Pi, RPI.GPIO package. You just check it whether in your that is already available. Usually, most of the time, it will be available. Your inbuilt it is along with the Python, the GPIO package will come. If it is not there in your Raspberry Pi OS, the GPIO package is not there. What we can do is we can use a pip install, sudo pip install. By using that, you can install the GPIO package. So GPIO packages, if just check it, you open your idle command prompt, you open, and when you open idle, command prompt will come before you're opening a script. I think in a Python, most of them you have worked, or you have worked in Anaconda also. People know that. And what we should do is you open idle and command prompt will come. You just put a import rpi.gpio, import rpi.gpio. If a package is available, no error message will come. If a package is not available, the error message will come. Error message comes means you don't have such a packages. So what you should do is you should use your install. If in a Windows, you'll be using pip install. No? But if you're in a Linux operating system, you should use sudo that command along with this installation. So it will install your GPIO package. So once the GPIO package is installed, first step is in any programming, you start with any programming, any sensor or any IO device. First, you have to import the RPI.GPIO package. So once you import this package, then you have to set the mode. I said you have two way of pin configuration. One is GPIO board, another one is BCM. So board means the numbering we are using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 40 numbering you are using. If you take BCM, you are using the names which is given in the pin configuration, which is given the colored. So I showed you the pin configuration in the previous slide. So in that we are using the, for a pin number 3 is your board configuration. So pin number 3 in BCM configuration, it has another name called as GPIO2. So if you are using BCM mode, the pin should be referred, pin 3 should be referred by GPIO2. If you are using normal pin mode, board mode, then 3, you can refer it as a 3 only. So we have to set the mode. So that we have to use the method called set mode. We have a method in your GPIO package, the GPIO.set mode. So GPIO.set mode, it is used for setting the mode of your board. If you are using board mode or BCM mode. So you have to pass this parameter to the set mode, GPIO.board or GPIO.BCM. So Broadcom numbering also you can use, or physical numbering we can use. So in order to keep our like programs very easy, we are just keeping a board mode only here. We are referring in a further all the programs, I'm referring board mode only. And we have to set up in necessary input and output pin. We have to set up whether it is input pin or output pin. If I connected LED to the board pin number 3, then it is output mode. If I connect a small switch, you could have seen some push buttons. So push buttons, you have a push buttons. If you take, there are like you will have some 4 pin in that. You just fix that 4 pin in that. Appropriately, which pin should be connected to the power, which should be connected to the ground. Yeah, accordingly, you should connect. So if you take a your push button, no, there are 2 modes are there. pull down and pull up mode. So pull down and pull up mode, what does it mean is, here sometimes when you push, no, circuit will be closed. That is pull down mode. By default the circuit will be opened. When you push, no, circuit will be closed. When circuit closes, no, the power flow occurs there. In pull up mode, circuit will be already in a closed state. When I push, no, it will open the circuit. So your push buttons will come pull up mode or pull down mode. You have to know the configuration, whether it is pull up mode or pull down mode. So based on the mode, we have to set it, whether it is pull up mode or pull down mode. That necessary input details along with your push button, you have to specify the necessary input type. So again, if you take these are all basic input, basic device. LED is basic IO device. Push button is a basic input device. But if you take, for example, if you take motion sensor, like a passive motion sensor, if you take, no, you would have seen many would have by now, you would have seen that it will be in the white colored, some white color doom kind of a thing will come. It's a passive sensor. It's a motion sensor. Whenever it detects a motion, it will read it as a one. So that is also input device only. It is an input device. It detects a motion and it reads. That is input device. And you have IR sensor, that is input device. And then like different sensors are there. Some sensors are like it sensor, like you have to know that what is that input pin. Accordingly you have to connect. And if you take actuators are output device. So actuators are used for some mechanical movements of any device. So actuators are output device. So if you take basic input device is switch button, and other input devices are your sensors, and your basic output device is LED, and then you have some of the actuators through which you can make a mechanical movement in your program. So that is actuators are again your output device. So first you should know what devices you are using. So whether you are using input device or you are using output device, all this necessary details you should understand first when you are start programming with your Raspberry Pi. And those necessity details, whatever you get, no, or if it is a device's sensor, no, you should know the pin configuration of sensor. So if I said about BMP, that temperature sensor, you were previously we discussed about the temperature sensor. So in that temperature sensor, we have 3 pin. One is ground, one is data, one is power. So any device you take, what is the configuration of that device you should understand, and that device needs how many power supply, what is up, it need ground, and it need a data pin. So that details you should understand clearly. So that details will be given along with the sensor only. If you purchase the sensor, the details will be available. And sometimes, no, if you turn the sensors, on the top of the sensor only they would have written which sensor is for what purpose. So those details will be available, and accordingly you should decide that which port I'm going to use it for input, which port I'm going to use it for output. So that is a step 3. You should use necessary input and output pins. And you should fourth step is you should use your input, you have to read input or give output according to the program. And then fifth step is, once you're done everything, you have to clean up your GPIO. Otherwise, if you don't call the cleanup function, you have to call the cleanup function. So if you don't call the cleanup function, the previous data may be existing, and it may lead to, when you run the second time the same program or you connect some other devices, it may lead to some issues. So you have to use a cleanup code. So this is your programming flow. So GPIO programming flow, if you take, no, first you have to import the GPIO package, provided it is already installed. Otherwise install and then import. And then you should use set mode. Set mode, it will tell you whether you are using a board mode or you are using a BCM mode. So board mode or BCM mode, basically we'll be using board mode only, because board mode is a simple way of programming. And then you should identify the necessary input and output pins, and you have to read an input, and if you requires give output, and then you can later you have to clean up your GPIO. This is your program flow. Now if you take in the next slide, just I gave a sample how we are going to set the mode, and how our output pin is set, how the input pin is set. Now here they were used aliasing because every time we cannot use RPA.GPIO. So just they gave alias as GPIO. And then set mode. Set mode is a function. Set mode function, it accepts two parameter, either GPIO.BCM or GPIO.board. So GPIO.board, we are using a board physical pin configuration. And you are used pin number 8 in your slide. So pin number 8 is, they are using pin number 8. So in that pin number 8, they are setting as a GPIO.out. GPIO.out. So this will tell you whether it is input or output. And here I given initial 0. So initially your pin is made as value 0. So this is the name of the pin, and out will tell you the GPIO out will tell you the whether it is input port or output port. Then initial is equal to 0 means your initial value in the pin 8 is 0. This is how you can set your output pin. Then in next slide, we are given a program for LED blink. So here you are using simple LED blink program we are given. So you should know the how you are going to connect your LED blink. You can take your breadboard. So later we'll see some of the videos of how that LED blink program to execute, and how to use temperature sensor program, how to execute, and some SSH remote connection how to do. Because actually we had a plan of making this as some workshop by giving more boards to people to hands-on planned, but because of this lockdown we could not do that. So anyhow, if you're working, we will play some videos of working all these programs, so that you can just understand that how the connectivity and all happens. And here, so we are used imported GPIO. Then I imported the time method. Time method is for like you need to call a sleep method, no? So sleep method is available in time package. Then your 8th pin, you are using 8th pin, and I'm naming that pin as LED only. So in a previous, I just name it as my pin, no? Now I'm naming it as a LED pin. So what purpose that pin is used, no? Same purpose you can name, so that you can easily understand that what is the purpose of that pin. Instead of just 8 directly, if I give, no, this will not help your reader to understand what purpose the 8th pin is used. So better you can name your pins. If I'm using one more pin, pin 7, for example, pin 7 for IO purpose. So what I can do is I can use button equal to 7. So if I'm using a pin 3 for my sensor, then I can motion sensor. If I'm using it for motion sensor, I can write motion underscore sensor equal to 7. That means 7th, like 3rd pin is used for the purpose of connecting to the sensor. So when you are naming your pins for programming purpose, no, so don't give directly the pin numbers. You before that, what is the purpose of that pin number? You assign to some variable, so that instead of pin, no, I can put the variable there. It increases the readability of the program. And first we imported GPIO, and then we imported a time method, and then we have given the name for 8th pin as LED. Now I have to set the mode. So I'm using the board mode. I'm not using BCM mode. So I'm using set mode method for setting it. And then I am making the 8th pin as output pin. So for that, we are using a function called a setup. Setup LED. LED means it's 8th pin. Then GPIO.out, it is the output pin, and initial value for this is 0. And you just you are putting in an exception handling part, because sometimes, no, like directly without exception handling in Python we can work here, but they used a program with exception handling, so that anything happens, instead of hanging, it will throw the exception. So you people are familiar with Python exception handling. So you have try block, and you have accepting what exception is thrown. And further, here if you take while of true,
while of true, why they are doing is always any embedded application, any program you write, you should write in the infinite loop. So it should work in infinite loop. Until some intervention, the program should not stop. So while after it will be running in the infinite loop. And first we are making the LED glow. So for making the LED glow, we have method called as GPIO.output, a pin number, and that's LED is your pin number 8. We are making it high. High means your LED will glow. And then you are just printing some messages on the monitor, print on. So it will print on. In your board LED will glow. Parallelly in your Raspberry Pi Python screen, it will print output on. And then time dot sleep. So it's going to sleep. So 1 means more time only. So initially when we started programming, by assuming our Java 1000 milliseconds like this, what we did was we put time dot sleep as 1000. Our program, we were like we did not get the output. LED did not off, and then we were thinking some issues in the program only. But time dot sleep, that one it's 1 second. It's more in your Python. This is more time. And then the same thing, if you want to use in Java, we should give some 1000 here. But here it is 1. We are giving time dot sleep, and then we are setting your LED low, and then we are printing the message off. Then again sleep method we are calling, and then any problem occurs, no, it will throw the interrupt, like if it is keyboard interrupt. So for example, you are doing it something, you are terminating, that time your exception will come, and then that exceptions will be catched by your keyboard interrupt. And this part will be continuously working until any interrupt occurs. Your LED on and off will be continuously executing. So once that program is interrupted, it will come out of the program. And I already told you that we have to clean GPIO cleanup. So you have to call the GPIO cleanup method. If you don't call GPIO cleanup method, same program, once again you stop and run, you will not get the output. So GPIO cleanup will make your port free, and once again it will start initialize from the beginning. Otherwise, those initialization, whatever you did already, that will block you to run it once again. So we have to use GPIO cleanup at the end of the program always. So, and then your program will be terminated. This is LED on and off program. So you can connect the LED. It has 2 lengthy pins. So one which is longer than another is your positive. The shorter one is ground. So if people are knowing how the board configuration will be, your breadboard configuration. So ground should come in the left or right corner, where you have, it's a vertical way of connection, and then in between there is a horizontal way of connection will be there in the breadboard. So you connect your lengthy one in the in middle of the breadboard in a horizontal way, and ground you connect in the left corner where it's connected, connections is vertical. So after fixing your LED, you should take the there are different jumper wires are available. So the jumper wires, if you take, there are 3 different jumper wires are there. One is you have male to male connection, male to female, female both female. So depends on the connectivity, you have to connect your jumper wire. So connect your jumper wire lengthy LED to the length, from the lengthy LED to your pin, GPIO pin. And one of the ground, you can choose any 10 grounds are available. Any one of the ground you can choose, and then you can connect that ground to your ground pin of LED. When you run this program, this script, Python script, when you run in your idle, your LED will start glowing, and it will just keep glowing and off, on and off, on and off. It will be executing until you terminate the program. This is about your LED program. Still we are going to discuss in how to take input and how to have input and output both, and temperature sensor. And one more program is how to connect your Raspberry Pi through the remote system. And these are the things we are going to discuss in next session. And then one more third session which I'm going to handle, I will be discussing about smart, how to make your city smart. What are the way you can bring your city smart? This will give you that idea where and all we can implement your IoT in our city, so that many of the things will be under automation, that we can do it, and then better health care and better traffic control, better waste monitoring, and better security you can provide in the buildings. So most of them are doing the projects. Any of if you take any of your projects, whatever you have done so far, it will be either one of the area I would have chosen. What we are going to discuss in smart city, most of your projects will fit in one of your area, where you are like your our aims make a smart city means one of your projects will fit in this. So this we'll discuss in third session. Okay, and some more programs in Arduino we'll discuss how to program Arduino, and we have to know even we can connect Arduino and Raspberry Pi. So why we have to connect Arduino and Raspberry Pi together? The reason is your Raspberry Pi will work with digital sensors only. For example, you have light sensor which generates analog value. So directly light sensor, if you connect to a Raspberry Pi, it will not work. So what we can, in that scenario, what we should do is we should make use of Arduino board. Arduino board will take the analog value, and then that from Arduino board we can take the value to the Raspberry Pi. So both communication we can make it Arduino and Raspberry communication. And some more some more project ideas, something which is related to Raspberry Pi. How we can put in a cloud. What are the way you can bring that thing to the cloud? We can whatever the code you write. No, like for example, your sensors are keep on monitoring temperature. That data you can put in the cloud. So for a cloud, which any cloud, any you take any of the cloud. So okay, for that cloud, no supporting packages will be available in Python. So you have to use that packages in the cloud. When you register, no, some key will be generated. Through the key, you can write the data to the cloud. So that program also we can discuss in some in the next upcoming classes. So as of now, I'll not